We're probably about a quarter mile from home. To give you the setting, it's almost a full moon. It's quiet. It's so quiet that you can hear crickets at a quarter mile. That quiet. We're on the last leg on the way home, and my wife said, "What the hell is that?" She was in the passenger seat, and she caught something coming up from behind. I said, "I don't know." And I pulled the car over to the side of the road. We both got out, and here coming up from behind us, at about, I would guess, 150 feet, is a triangular object with 3 lights on it, 3 solid lights on it. One, I believe, was strobing in the front. It had to be about 150 feet from one point of the triangle to the next. It was monstrous. And
how far off the ground?
About 150 feet. It looked so big and so close that I could have thrown a rock at it.
No kidding. You scared?
No, scared is not the right word. We watched it come up from behind us, Larry. And it came directly over our heads. Close Encounters of the Stars and the moon went away. And it made no sound. As it passed over our heads, you could hear the crickets at a quarter mile, Larry. Still, no propulsion, no noise, going, I guess, about 30 miles an hour. I was in the Air Force. I know what aerodynamic flight requires. And trust me, this thing was defying gravity.
Of course, the explanation would be that's an experimental Air Force base that's secret to everyone, and that probably is something they're working on.
Then, maybe so. But if we have anti-gravitic craft, that's almost as big a story as if they are here.
This defied the law of gravity.
Absolutely. 30 miles an hour, floating, not flying. And we watched it, we stood and we watched it go over the valley for about 5 minutes, kind of with our mouths on, open.
Why did that not make you a believer that there is something somewhere else?
It did make me a believer that there are things that we don't know about. Now, it could be ours, it could be theirs, but the way I figure it, either way, it's a big, big story.
Yeah, if it's ours, it's a big story. If it's theirs, it's
If it's ours and we have anti-gravity, it's a big story. Mm-hmm. And they're keeping a lot from us. They developed the F-117 Stealth up there. Well, what have they been doing since?
You're into things different, right? Would you say, is that the correct way?
No, I don't think so. I think that what I'm into is part of life. I think it's as much of the things that you can't touch, the things that you're not sure of, they're as much a part of our life as the air that we're breathing right now. It's just that a lot of people don't notice. They don't take the time.
You don't screen the calls, right?
I don't screen
I didn't either for all those. I've never screened a call till television.
Is that right?
Yeah, but it's fun, much more fun. Why
it
screen
is.
A call?
My view is that if the talk show host is talented enough, that you can take any call, no matter how strange, how weird, and make it fun, entertaining, informational, something or another. It's just, I enjoy I don't want to know what's coming.
Certainly, neither do I. Much more spontaneous. Right?
Absolutely.
Well, the screen is screens, but I don't want to know what the subject is. All I want to know, all I ever want to know is the city. That's the only thing that mattered. But you, in other words, when I hear your show, it's a happening, right? It's happening then. Nobody has filtered anything.
That's right. A lot of times, I will obviously prepare. I spend about as much time preparing and knowing the news that I end up not talking about, and whatever it is that I've got prepared to talk about half the time or better.
Do you set a subject, or can anybody call on anything?
Anybody can call in anything. And believe me, that's what I get. I get time travelers. I get people claiming to be immortal. I get some pretty strange people.
We'll
but they're fun.
What's it like to broadcast out of your house?
I used to commute, taking about 2 hours of my time every single day.
To a Vegas station?
And I thought that when I came home, when they built the studio in my home, I said, hey, guys, how about building a studio in my home? And they did. And I thought, great, I buy back 2 hours of my life. Wrong. Now everybody knows where to find me. And so it's work from the moment I get up until I actually go to bed. Because everybody knows where to find me. Before I had those 2 solitary hours to drive back and forth. That's right.
Also, isn't it kind of weird to be broadcasting? I'd feel weird broadcasting out of where I sleep.
Well, I don't sleep in there. I sleep on the other side of the house.
But I mean, it's the same area, right?
It's a converted bedroom.
And yet that's what the pattern, we talked about pattern recognition early in the program, that's what it's all about.
Well, Richard, with regard to ancient religion, yes, there probably was one. I think the Egyptians knew things, perhaps through some sort of religion that may have been formed around it or may have been the basis of it, who knows, that we still don't know. Things that we have not yet learned again, things that may be contained in a library under the Sphinx or somewhere else on the planet. I'll be damned if I know. But, yeah, they knew something that we don't know again yet.
Meaning they had access to carefully preserved records of some sort.
Yes, and I think they had the ability to manipulate some sort of physics that we yet have not deciphered.
Okay, well, that brings up, of course, the question of the pyramids.
Well, yes.
And have you found your piece yet?
No, you know, Richard, I have not.
You have got to.
And I tore drawers open. I mean, obviously it's here somewhere, but Richard, in the years that I've been in this wonderful home with my beautiful wife, we have accumulated, well, once we had a garage in which we could spaciously park our two beautiful cars. It is now to the point where the cars, you have to manipulate them extremely carefully while going into the garage, lest you hit what is now occupying the garage, which is almost, you know, half of everything we've had. I mean, it's unbelievable how much we've accumulated. I cannot bring myself to throw things away. It is here, Richard, but I don't know where. And then when I'm retired and I have time to go through all of this stuff, I'll find it.
That means you're starting Tuesday, right?
Well, maybe Wednesday.
Maybe you should start a museum.
Yeah, no kidding.
Okay. Anyway, back to the Egypt thing, because if there is a piece of technology that's inexplicable, and we've described what that piece did with the radium watch and all that.
It should be noted, by the way, that the piece that I got, and you know how I got it,
Yes.
I did not personally bring it out of Egypt. Do you hear that, Zahi? I did not do it. And Richard, there were other pieces that came out of Egypt. So the one I have is not the only one.
That's right.
Well, sometimes weird things happen. Tell me about that astronomer calling saying he saw something following the Hale-Bopp comet.
The Hale-Bopp.
That turned out to be a false, right?
Actually, what happened is Professor Courtney Brown at Emory University,
In Atlanta.
and an associate of his in Atlanta, yes, that's right, came to me and said, guess what? We have photographs of an object following comet Hale-Bopp. It's from a top 10 university professor. I said, okay, fine. Good source. Send me the photographs. I want to see them. So they sent me the photographs. I had Whitley Strieber also sent the photographs, to be sure. I talked to the physicist student that was associated, Prudence Calabrese. I had a lot to go on, Larry. And so I broke the story. Yes, there's something that apparently seems to be following Hale-Bopp, and I put a photograph of that up.
How was it proven wrong?
It was proven wrong when, in January, now this is a couple of months later, mid-November to mid-January, I finally got fed up of this so-called university professor not coming forward with his story. And so I called Courtney. I said, Courtney, I'm going to take the photograph and I'm going to publish it on my website. And he said, oh, don't do that. He called me and begged me, please don't do that. He said, it'll hurt your credibility. And I said, no, if I do nothing, that's going to hurt my credibility. So I put it up on the website, and it wasn't 24 hours. I got a call from Dr. Oliver Heinot at the University of Hawaii, who said, guess what? That photograph had to have been taken from this telescope within a 10-minute period of time. We can prove it because here's our photograph with the stars in the exact same position relative to the comet.
Photograph.
It was fraudulent. So I put the fraud up on the website right next to the real photograph, and it was obvious they were the same photograph, but something was drawn in behind.
Hello, Art Bell.
Hi there.
I'm an Art Bell addict. I wish you'd do a program on Art Bell addiction. But I also wondered, what do you think might be the connection between Stonehenge and the Miami Circle? Is it the same type of sighting, but just smaller stones?
All right. The lady refers to a circle. There's a developer named Bauman down in Miami. The poor fellow, I kind of feel sorry for him. He had a $100 million project. He began clearing the land in Miami for this $100 million project, and they found what appears to be a sacred circle. And they had the bold...
Just like a chalk or a circle of what?
A circle that resembles in some ways Stonehenge. And it was about to be plowed under. The big D9 cats were sitting there, and they were about to do it. And we began a campaign trying to save it. And they went to court with eminent domain, and I'll be damned if they haven't saved it. So we had kind of a phone thing going to try to save the Miami Circle.